The views and opinions of this broadcast do not reflect the views and opinions of Armed Media, New Productions and its affiliates. Enjoy the show.
No! I'm going down to Alphabet Street. I'm gonna crown this girl that I meet. I'm gonna talk so.
Good night, everybody. It is Tuesday again, and it's that effing time of the day for the F word. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I have a really special friend on tonight, and I want to call him a new friend, but I think we've known each other for a little while. Kim?
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to the F word.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me. And seriously, everybody, Kim was a darling, and I literally called him like less than a minute ago because my other guest, I don't know what happened. So unfortunately, his loss, my gain. Kim Edwards, thank you so much. So I want to talk to you about you because everybody knows me, but they don't know you. So this is your life, my dear friend. Where did you grow up? Tell me about your upbringing. You know, you and I have talked, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to talk, but you're just going to kind of go over things that you and I have already talked about. So that'll be easy.
Okay.
But
Right.
first
So-
of all, yeah, tell me about where you grew up.
So I grew up in South Minneapolis. Went to school at Washburn High School, attended Augsburg College.
What did you go to college
native-
for?
Business finance was my major.
Wait, everybody, that's an F word, finance. There we go.
Oh,
See, we can talk about finance tonight if you want. He knows what he's talking about. Okay. Oh, just
And
get
I
used to this,
started-
because I'll just interrupt you, because that's what I do. Just know this.
okay. Yes. And I started my career in Denver, Colorado, working for a large savings and loan. And I'm largely responsible, I guess, for the collapse of the savings and loan industry. Actually, I'm just kidding, but
You say, we're going to hang up now. Bye.
And then when as the savings and loan industry collapsed, just went into commercial banking and have thrived really in community banks. I just kind of love the aspect of banks where relationships are built. I'm a relationship kind of person, and
I can tell.
that's where I do my best.
So, okay, when I'm curious about, okay, so everybody knows that I've been in the financial services industry for a couple of years at least, and financial literacy is really important to me. But so when you start out with a savings and loan kind of company, I mean, who are the typical clients that are coming in there? Is it, you know, mom and dad that, you know, live in the neighborhood? Can you explain that to me a little bit? I mean, I think people, when they don't really think about banking the way that you think about banking, or maybe the way we should all think about banking.
Well, yes, it is mom and dad coming in, looking to basically finance their dreams, to meet their primal need, the cornerstone of the American dream, if you will, to own a home, to have that security for their family, to start, building their wealth through home ownership.
And did you, so when you started that, did you have, special things that you would teach them, or did you just say, okay, yeah, put your money here in this, checking account, then here in this money market account?
Well,
do you actually educate them?
Well, and as I've progressed in my career, I've learned more and more about educating people. And what I would say, Cathy, is this, that the most valuable financial tool, regardless of a family's resources, the budget. Because one of the old sayings, in fact, I think we had it printed on our marketing materials, and that is pay yourself first, right? So, and that's the key ingredient. That's what makes a budget successful, is A, budgeting for savings, and then with what a person is able to do with a budget. And this is actually a promise that I make to everyone I get to make this little speech or sermon to, is simply this, that once you start with a budget, you become enthusiastic about savings. Once you know what your expenses are, you're able to identify ways to cut your expenses, and obviously then what you do with that additional savings is you pay yourself more.
Explain further.
Well, so most people in my area of expertise are have a goal in mind.
Right.
Right? And the more that they can contribute to their goal on their own, the more equity it is that they have when they are able to achieve their goal. And that equity that they have, it has a compounding effect. They are able to move on to their next goal with their equity.
Right. Well, and what a feeling of accomplishment too. Okay. So, I want you to teach my kids that, because they don't listen to mom. So, my youngest two will call their oldest brother, ask him. But I love that they do that, because that shows a level of respect and closeness of my kids. But it's so important that the budget. That's what I'm wanting to drill into people. That is definitely one of the first things in financial literacy. Because I'm afraid my youngest son, Kim, he wants to move in to an apartment and college, and wouldn't you recommend having like at least 6 months of expenses saved up? He doesn't.
Oh, absolutely, and so hopefully that is a goal that he can set for himself. Again, in the tool that will make that possible is a budget. See, the first step in preparing a budget is to save all your receipts.
Okay. Right.
And now you know, for at least a month, now you know what your monthly expenses are, right? And it's the little things that you are able to identify that we don't normally think about, but when you write them down in a budget, whether it be gasoline or soda pop or your vices or whatever it is.
Your coffee every morning. So many people stop at Caribou or Starbucks, and they don't think anything of spending $5-6 every morning. Right.
And so now you're able, once you know what your expenses are, you're able to make decisions about areas where you can cut your expenses. Yep. So in the example that you gave, Caribou, right? $2.12 for a cup of coffee.
Right.
Is, right? So if you simply eliminate one day a week of Caribou in a 5-day work week, that's $10 and 48 cents a month.
Right.
Which seems insignificant, but the significant part of it is, right, is now you've saved an extra $10. And it has a snowballing effect. So the next thing that you will do, and I say this through experience, the biggest opportunity to save money when you're looking at a budget on a modest income is at the grocery store. Right? You start to click coupons. You start to buy less of what it is that you don't really need in the first place. And now all of a sudden you're saving $50 a month. And then pretty soon you find yourself saving, $100 a month. And for those people that are fortunate enough to, let's say, have a 401k match from their employer, well, of course, that's free money. So if you're taking and putting that money into a 401k, so now that's an extra $200 a month. Oh, and by the way, I'm not a tax professional. I can't give tax advice, but typically, that lowers your tax liability as well.
Exactly.
So now you're saving additional money, but with the term that you use, financial literacy, I mean, it just really means being aware of ways to improve your financial
fiscally
condition.
Responsible in your own life.
Yes, right. And
that was a really good F word, fiscal.
Yes. So yes, and so when you think about it, it's like so here comes so your future goals. Ooh, I used another F word. I'm going to try and find them out.
Listen to your mouth. Listen to that mouth. We got all those F words.
Is your motivation, right? I mean, you whatever it is that you have that you aspire to is it is obtainable, right?
Right.
And it requires little discipline. It requires little sacrifice. And again, a budget is the tool to A, help you achieve the goal, but B, and more importantly, to ease the pain of your sacrifice to achieve what it is that you really, are looking to do, whether it's buy a home, to send your kids to college, to buy that fancy car, whatever it is that you want.
Right.
There's no judgment on it. It's simply, the means to an end. Yes.
I wonder if there's an F word for budget.
Oh, my.
I have to look
we'll think of one before we're done. Go
ahead. Well, people probably say F words while they're trying to do their budgets, especially when they see what they're spending the money on. Well, you know what, though? I think in today's day and age, it might be a little bit harder budget because we all live with our debit cards and we don't keep receipts. We just, now they all have the chips. And do you want a receipt? No, that's okay. No, that's okay. And then people don't really look at it. And so I think people need to take advantage of the technology that comes with everything. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, receipts are for old people like me, but certainly you can pull up your online purchases. You can save, right? Your daily activity into a spreadsheet if you need to, or simply use it from the statement. But again, the first step is to know what your expenses are,
right?
And then you can say, "Ooh, forget caribou one day a week." Right? Ooh, another F word. We got one. Forget caribou one day a week, and save that extra money, or forget. When we talk about the morning coffee, what about people that don't bring their own lunch to work? Right?
Oh, wow.
Lunch is $9 a day.
Right?
Right? So,
ooh, I came up with one. Frugal. How's that? Budget.
Yes,
that's another, to be frugal.
Yes, and you don't even have to think of yourself as frugal, because we think of our parents as being frugal, right? It isn't about being frugal. Again, especially if you see some negative connotation with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, you focus on your goal, right? Have a goal in mind, whatever it is. So that's
Well, right, exactly. I mean, I remember being a little kid. I mean, everybody's got a piggy bank.
right.
Saving my money to get a Bee Gees album or something, right?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to save my money, save my allowance. But I wish back then, I wish I knew then what I know now. And that's like so many of us, because if I would have known then what I would have known now, I would have put that money in the bank. But I didn't. I was making. How old were you when you started working?
Oh gosh. So there's a little more of my history.
Yes.
So my second year in junior high school, I printed a fake ID in print class.
God, I love.
So that I could
we
get
would
a
have been in
job.
trouble together. Totally.
Yes. So that I could get a job working at the grocery store when you had to be 16. Right now I was only 13. So I've been working since I was 13 years old.
Wow. See, I would have had the fake ID to get into the bars, but I still got into the bars without it at 15. Isn't that scary? But, wow. So 13, you worked at, where'd you say, Red Owl?
Red Owl, that is it. Yes, bagging groceries.
How much did you make?
Oh my, $1.65 an hour, something like that.
But you felt rich,
Well, yeah, when you got that paycheck.
right?
Oh, yes, and then the next thing I had to learn was how to fight to keep my money, because them roughnecks would try and take it from you. But
What?
that was
What? No,
Oh,
tell me about
yeah.
this. Wait, what? Like stealing your milk money kind of shit? Oh,
Well,
sorry. This is
exactly.
the F word
Yeah,
I
it was-
said. I said a swear word. Jimmy's gonna put the explicit on there because I said shit. Okay. Usually I say the real F word. But wait, what?
Well, yeah, I mean, so that's and so I only point that out as simply this, because as you accumulate wealth, right?
Right.
Whether it's a $85 paycheck after 2 weeks, right? Or you have $8,500 in your savings account all of a sudden because you've been, managing your finances with a budget, lowering your expenses and saving more,
Right.
is that the next thing you have to learn is how to keep your wealth. Because, I mean, all you have to do is turn on the television, and there are people trying to get you to spend your savings, your discretionary income,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever on things that you don't necessarily need. In fact, I mean, when you look at sales and that type of thing, right, the first thing they try and do is create a want, right? If they
Right.
can't, if you don't want it, you won't buy it. So, but because you've again become accustomed to making decisions about your expenses, because you're enthusiastic about your savings, because you're focused on your goal,
Yes.
right? Then you
Say that again.
focus
Focus.
on your goal.
Mhm.
You are able to direct your decisions based upon achieving your goal, as opposed to being an immediate want, right?
Yes. And
That's what's key.
okay. Okay. So you had that job. Then what'd you do?
So
Like I said,
stuck with
this is
that
your
job
life.
until I started school, right?
Mhm. Wow.
And then and then as I went through school, I worked construction.
Wow.
For the electric utility. Huh?
Did you ever catcall any of the girls that walked by?
Oh my! No. I come from a family where I was taught to respect women. Although I'll share this story with you for the first time.
Okay.
So we were putting in underground electricity and taking it down from the poles and putting it underground out in Plymouth.
Okay.
And this was before Plymouth is what it is today.
Right.
Right? And it was a hot, humid day. And so the guy up in the bucket pulling down the wire saw this young lady walking by, and because of the temperature and the humidity, she was not necessarily dressed modestly.
Okay.
And so as he turned to look at her, he passed the wire through the energized zone, and 13,000 volts went in through his hands and came out the bottom of his boots, right?
Oh my gosh.
So obviously he collapsed then and there.
Oh my gosh, did he die?
Well, yes, not only that.
Oh my gosh.
So then
he died.
So the guy that was working with him started to perform CPR. Well, he was an older gentleman with a heart condition. And so as he's trying his best to revive the guy that he's working with,
right?
Well, he suffered a massive cardiac, and they both went to the morgue. And I don't know if there's a moral to this story other than, again, stay focused. But yes,
wow. What in the world?
Yeah, it was interesting for a young guy to witness all of that. But yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Wow.
So,
because how old were you when that happened? To see something like that.
I was 20 years old.
That was fatal.
Yes.
That'd be a femme fatale. She was femme fatale.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay, that was very poor humor. Wow, so it's electrifying. Oh my gosh. What? Oh my. See, why am I trying to be funny over that? I don't know. I have no idea. Okay. So you went from there. See, I'm interested in hearing about you. So
yes. So I went from there and I completed my education at Augsburg College and then
and tell everybody where Augsburg is. A lot of people haven't heard of it.
Augsburg is in southeast Minneapolis, just east of the West Bank.
Okay.
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 It's a small Lutheran school, and I was invited to go there not necessarily because of my grades, but because in high school I played on a winning football team that we
That's
never
another F word, football. Nobody hears me talk about that.
We never lost a game, and so I was, and I had decent enough grades to get in there. So then I started my career in Denver, Colorado, for an institution called the Empire Savings Building and Loan Association, and it was a large institution, and I was brought in as a new loan officer, and probably was able to accept that position, not necessarily because of what I knew, but because of who I was, and you know, that was and I learned on the job. It was very interesting. In addition, because a savings and loan, as part of the community, always, you know, financed families, and typically the vast majority of what we did was FHA loans. Savings and loans were the source of FHA loans, which allowed people to buy houses with low down payments. Okay?
Okay.
But the interesting thing about it was we were also a large construction lender. And so we built the Lion's Head at Vail after the builder that started the project kind of absconded with the funds. We were left to finish it. And it was interesting. Even today, if you look at Lion's Head as to who owns the condominiums there, at least 50% of them aren't even residents of the United States. They're primarily either Mexican nationals or Argentinians.
Really?
And so, yes, and it was really interesting to see the foreign investment. And so I learned a lot about just the world and the interest in the United States economy and what real estate in America had to offer, not only for families looking to have a roof over the head of their children and to build their wealth, right?
Right.
But investment of the captains of industry from outside of the United States. Because most of these, when you think about especially Mexican nationals and to a large extent Argentinians, right? They're not interested in skiing.
I wouldn't think so. They probably didn't really do that much.
Yes. So they were more interested in the opportunity that real estate investment held in terms of a better rate of return than what they could get in other investments, right? And the safety that real estate offers, that no matter what, you have this tangible investment that you own. That even if it doesn't make a profit for you, you're unlikely to have a loss with it.
So how did they, so they weren't, I'm curious, because you know what, as we talk about today, and, with politics being the way they are, and I don't ever get political on the show, mind you, but not being citizens, I'm curious how they were able to purchase property.
Well, and to this day, you do not have to be a citizen. You do not have to be a permanent resident.
Really? I'm not knowing this.
To purchase real estate in the United States. There are two things that there's two criteria. Only one of them existed then, but two that exist today. Back then, the criteria was to have enough down payment or investment in the asset, right?
Okay.
To make it and this is a banking term, acceptable risk.
Okay.
And that dynamic still exists today, but the added dimension is now you cannot be a terrorist.
Okay.
To put it shortly, the banks do check you against what's called the OFAC, or Office of Financial Accounting and Currency, has a list of people that are deemed to be terrorists, or if you cannot be a resident of a nation that is not allowed to do business in the United States. So, but yes, those people can invest and do.
You look into like the money laundering aspect of it, though?
Well,
How do you
Yes.
do? I mean, how does that happen?
So, with the money laundering aspect, there's something else called suspicious activity.
Right.
So one of the things, so in terms of a real estate investment, one of the things that we do is we verify, and in fact, even with a minimal down payment, and even with citizens or permanent residents, we verify where their down payment or investment is coming from.
That's what I was wondering. Okay.
Yes, and we document that extensively so that, well, I shouldn't say extensively. We look at it over the last 60 days. So any large deposits into an asset account, right, have to be documented, the source of where that cash came from. And that is how we manage money laundering.
Ah. Okay, so that's Denver. What? Okay, so how old were you when you were there?
Oh my! So I started that at 21 years old.
Wow.
And stayed there until I was 35. So 15 years in Colorado.
You like the Broncos?
No, I couldn't stand the Broncos because the town was crazy for the Broncos. It was just obnoxious. I mean, they had the mayor at the time, William McNichols, right? Passed an ordinance called Orange Monday. So whenever the Broncos played on Monday night, everyone in the city was allowed to wear orange to work. So yeah,
the key word being allowed, not have to, right?
Right. Yeah, they couldn't mandate it.
Right.
Otherwise, they'd have had a problem with me because I never owned anything orange and still don't. Well, other than my bird hunting vest, that's the only orange garment I have. So, but yes, it was interesting. Although it was unfortunate for this was William McNichols. I mean, this guy was the mayor for like 35 years.
Seriously?
They even named the sports arena where the Nuggets used to play after him. They named this after this guy while he was still in office. Okay.
Ego party of one. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my gosh! But then one year they had a blizzard that crippled the city. The city of Denver had something like 115 pieces of snow removal equipment, and of those, 85% or 85 of them, I think, were operational, and half of them broke down in the first 24 hours. The city was paralyzed for almost a week. When they finally got the streets plowed and people could get around and go back to work, they held a special election and voted poor William McNichols out of office.
What?
They had elected Federico Pena as the mayor, who went on to become the Secretary of Transportation. Oh my gosh!
That's a little bit important. They realized. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. And,
so,
in a mountainous town, that was interesting. Of course, having grown up here, right? 2 feet of snow. Well,
that's no big deal.
Yes, no big deal. You just go. But no, they were
out and go.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, I really don't want to have one of those winters here. I really don't. Last year was stupid.
El Nino this year. Let's hope. So
that means like mild, easy.
Yes, it does. The baby.
Because last year was the cold, the snow, snowing in April. Nope. Okay, so then what made you leave Denver?
Well, like all Minnesotans, we come home. Think about it. Everybody that you know that you grew up with has come back.
No, what do we do?
Even if only, well, because our parents get old, we're attached to our families, right? Our values, and plus people always recognize your Minnesota accent and you get tired of hearing about it. So that's
you got a pretty strong one there, don't you know?
Oh, don't get me started on this Sven and Oli joke. But yeah, no, that's.
Do you know what I can honestly say? There has not been one Sven and Oli joke on the station. I shouldn't say on the station, but maybe not. Definitely not on my show.
And there's not going to be one in the immediate future because I'm not looking to start a comedy career. Oh.
I love it. Yeah, I don't think that would start a comedy career. I think that would just ensure that you never have one.
Oh my! Well, so I used to.
Well, you know what? Here, favorite. I mean, this is an F word. Favorite. What's your favorite joke? Doesn't have obviously not Sven and Oli. What's your favorite joke?
Oh gosh! So there's a new grocery store opened up in my neighborhood, right?
Okay.
And when you walk in the door, of course, you come in the door, you're in the produce section. And as soon as you get into the produce section, you can hear the sound of thunder and you smell the distant rain and there's mist spraying on the produce. And then, next to the produce section is the meat section. And you go in there and it's like you smell fresh cut hay and you hear cows mooing, and then you get into the dairy section, right, and there you can hear the chicken clucking, and you smell eggs frying, and it's all kind of visual, and it also appeals to your sense of smell. The one thing that I can tell you,
yeah,
is that I'm never, ever buying toilet paper there again. So, I'll wait till you get it.
Yeah, that's like, I can't even give you a full laugh. And that's your favorite one?
All right, so Sven and my neighbors, Sven and Oli.
There we go. I got one out of you. Okay, Sven and Oli, your neighbors, yes.
Yep. So Sven
yes?
brings home this used car that he just bought, and he wants to show it to his roommate, Oli. And so he's like, Oli, he says, come on, check out this new car I bought. So Oli runs out there, and Sven says, oh, while you're out here, he says, I want to make sure everything works. And so Oli says to Sven, he says, okay. He says, are the headlights working? Right? And Sven goes, yeah. And then Oli goes,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now I want to check the tail lights. And so Oli runs around to the back, and Sven goes, are the tail lights working? And he goes, yeah. He says, okay. Now I want to check the blinkers. And so he turns on the turn signal, right? And Oli goes to Sven. He says, are they working, Sven? And Sven goes, yeah. No. Yeah. No.
Yeah?
Yeah?
No.
All right. So much for my comedy career. Ask me about money.
Okay, so, well, wait. I got to tell you my favorite one, okay? Because I've never said this one on the air either, and it's so stupid that it makes me laugh. It's so dumb, okay?
Okay.
So, this couple, they got married. It's wedding night. The wife is one of those timid, sweet, shy girls. So she went in the bedroom first, and she got her little nightie on, and then she got into bed, and she pulled the blanket up. Right? Her husband, she's like, okay, come in. And he comes in, and he sits down on the side of the bed, and he takes off his shoes and his socks. And she looks over, and she goes, ooh, what happened to your toes? And he goes, oh, I had polio when I was a kid. He goes, oh, wow. And he stands up, and he undoes his belt, and he takes his pants off. And she looks and she goes, ooh, your knees? What's wrong with your knees? And he goes, oh, that's from when I had measles. I didn't get vaccinated. Remember, I said measles, not measles. And then, he takes off his shirt, and he takes off his boxers, and she goes, "Oh, let me guess. Smallpox?" Oh, come on, that's funny. Polio, measles.
Yeah, I get it.
I think that's one of my favorites.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay, you're doing an obligatory laugh.
Actually, yeah, I'm sorry you brought up bad memories. No.
Oh, no! Is that... Oh, no. That's funny. No, I'm just kidding. Back to finances. Change the subject quick now. So now you left, you came back to Minnesota. You left beautiful Denver, Rocky Mountain High, and came back. Now, here's one thing I haven't heard about along the way, your family. When did you start your family?
Oh, my. So I started my family, I suppose, the year that I got back. My daughter was born in 1985.
Okay.
And my son was born in 1989.
Okay. And that's my oldest son was 1989. Okay.
Okay.
And they're here in Minnesota.
Yep, they're still here. They both went to school out of state and returned home, and they're pursuing their careers.
Okay, so then you got back here and you were talking about like commercial banking.
Yes.
So that's when people are buying like office building properties, right?
Well, yes, but in a community bank setting, which is where I've done the majority of my work, a community bank does it all. And in fact, a bank is limited by law as to how much it can loan to any one entity based on the amount of money that a bank has. In other words, as a percentage of its deposits. So typically, we're not dealing with the General Mills of the world or the IBMs or that type of thing. We're dealing with some small to medium-sized businesses. And one of the great aspects of a community bank is that you tend to that's where people start their businesses. That's where people start with their dream, if you will, right? Because they're not a big bank isn't interested. There's not enough revenue in it for them. In terms of making somebody a $100,000 startup loan or $200,000 startup loan. I mean that's just that's nothing to a Wells Fargo. They're not interested. But for a community bank or a smaller bank, that's their bread and butter. That is how they thrive, and it's just interesting, because when someone starts their business in that way with a bank, right. I mean they form a personal relationship with the people that they deal with at the bank, and
definitely.
And when they come in, not only does their loan officer know their name, but the tellers recognize them, know their name. They're in there on a frequent basis. It becomes more than a relationship. It's actually a close and friendly relationship, and the fact that their livelihood is based on that relationship makes it just that more special, that much closer, if you will. So,
have you ever had? Here's an F word that I hate.
Okay. Foreclose. Oh, yes, Absolutely.
How
I
does
mean,
that make you feel? Another F word. When, I mean, like when you build that special relationship with your clients, and then something like that happens.
so first off, the thing to remember about a foreclosure is a bank never wants to own that asset, whatever that collateral may be, right? Whether
Right.
it's real estate, machinery, inventory, furniture, fixture, and equipment.
Right.
It's never a winning proposition for the bank. But as an individual, right, as a human being,
Mm-hmm.
and as part of that relationship, and depending upon your skill level in doing that, right?
Right.
When it comes to that, if you're good at what it is that you do as an advisor, it's mutually agreed that that is the best solution,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, when it comes to that situation, obviously, if the person that borrowed the money is facing that situation, it means that they didn't have the ability to sell that asset and make a profit,
Right.
right? They are losing as well. So, and yes, in some situations, it can become an adversarial relationship. Your friendly relationship can now turn into an enemy situation.
Right.
So you have to,
Just
again,
business,
just
right?
say, well, but based on your own personal values,
Yeah.
again, if when you manage it correctly, then everybody agrees that that is the right decision.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, if the bank forecloses, it means that these people are still going to owe money,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And that's what's even worse, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
that is when they're forced into bankruptcy. So you and the thing that separates all of us as human beings,
Mm-hmm.
right, is how you interface with one another. It's easy to be somebody's friends when everything is good and everybody's got money and everybody's making a profit. Yeah, that's all great, right?
Right.
But when somebody is faced with losing, right, their dream falls apart. That thing that they budgeted for, like we talked about in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
right, faces
They're losing.
either controllable or uncontrollable forces that causes it to deteriorate. Then you know that is that's what separates us as human beings, right?
Yeah.
You have to. I mean, obviously, as an employee of the bank, you're looking out for the best interests of the bank, but that doesn't mean you have to have to be the enemy of someone that once friended you in the
Right.
first place,
Right.
right?
Oh, it's so hard.
So yeah, it is hard. The thing to know is that people can and do come back,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of great examples and a couple of really icky examples that I could think of that are in the news frequently right now. But yeah, that's it's the other thing to realize that this is huge. Okay, this is really important that people understand this. Because especially with real estate, everybody's home loan represents somebody else's retirement plan, right? The money that comes for home loans is invested in through pension plans,
Really?
mutual funds,
See?
IRAs. They're part of mortgage-backed securities that are sold by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
F
Right.
and F. Right.
Yeah, right. And so when we had the so-called foreclosure crisis,
Yes.
followed by the so-called Great Recession,
Mm-hmm.
it was because of all of these mortgages that went bad. And so as we had the so-called, another F word, foreclosure crisis, okay?
Yes.
I mean, think about it. All of the things that go into a house, your thermostat, your carpeting, your paint, your faucet. Ooh, another.
Ooh, I was just
all
going
of
to say,
those-
dang, that's one that hasn't been used yet either.
Yes, all of those things, right, represent other
Mm-hmm.
American jobs. Not only manufacturing, right,
Right.
but retail, wholesale, trucking, all, and then, you know, if so, and to think about it, if there's less trucks bringing faucets to big box and local hardware stores, now they're buying less diesel fuel. I mean, the whole
Oh, wait,
thing,
wait. Fossil
Fuel.
fuel. Fuel itself.
fossil fuel.
Ooh.
Yes, exactly. You know, double F. Oh my. So, but at any rate, and so all of those things had a compounding effect. And then again, and then there was, and it was even worse because people's 401ks, right?
That's an F word
Yeah,
too, just so you know.
Yes, with 401k
See?
starts with an F.
Yeah.
But right.
No, it starts with a 4. What are you talking about? Okay.
But yes, in their pension plans and their mutual funds, now there were people that couldn't retire because the value of those assets shrunk so much because so much was invested in mortgages, toxic debt it was called. And unfortunately, right, and people will disagree with this. This is political, and I'll try not to go there. But that was what necessitated the so-called bailout. And
Okay.
the bailout worked, okay, and brought back the value of real estate. Okay? So it's yeah, it was a complex picture. I don't know how much else you want to hear about macroeconomics, but
Doesn't start with an F. Just kidding.
yeah, forget it.
Forget
Okay.
about it.
Yes.
Wow. You know what? You're not even believe this, but we're almost at the end of the hour. So here's what I want to do. I'm going to change it from that because what I want people to do is know that. So tell people why they should come and see you, because I'm going to give them a little call to action. Because what if they're looking to do something? Why do they get a hold of you, and where do they find? That's another F word. Find you.
So where they find me, another F word, it's the number 4, but if you spell it out, it starts with F. The number 4, mortgageinfo.com.
The number 4, mortgageinfo.com.
Right. Or you can find me on social media under 4 Mortgage Info. But the reason that they come to me is because in addition to the knowledge that I've gained after having done this for over 40 years, is that they...
You started when you were 5? Wow.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
the thing that you gain in addition to the technical knowledge in any business is you gain the appreciation. And this is nothing benevolent or anything like that. And that is simply that that I do better personally by helping people be successful with achieving their goal, whatever it is. That is how I'm compensated. And and here comes the corny closing. Okay, I'm fond of saying this. I'm fond of saying this. But the other part of my compensation is the gratification that I get from helping people achieve their dreams. Right? It's
the American dream.
Yes, it's huge. It is. It leaves you with a better feeling, right, than the money that I get paid. So, and yes, I get paid okay, but it's but life is short, and I'm not going to be able to take the money with me. But hopefully, by helping other people, right?
Exactly.
In turn, they will turn around and provide the same opportunity for someone else.
All right, everybody.
And
so that's the number 4 mortgageinfo.com, and you can get a hold of Kim if you're looking for, any help and understanding, right? Any realtors out there, I think, really need to get a hold of you because obviously you'll take care of their clients, and you took care of me. Thank you for jumping on with me last minute like that.
You are most welcome. Glad to do it.
All right, my dear. And everybody, thank you again for joining us on the F Word. We'll see you next week. And guess what? Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Joe Savino, for helping us be on the air each and every week. And thank you to all of our sponsors. Good night.